Hello and welcome to Pokemon of the Week with me, Daniel, OnionGamer64, or Civil Onion based upon how you know me. This week's Pokemon is Lucario, a very much a fan favourite, number 448 in the Pokedex, and is in the overused tier. Very much embedded into the overused tier in fact. Lucario is part steel, part fighting, quite a unique combination, and as a result it has unique resistances, weaknesses and immunities. Let's go through them quickly, shall we? It's weak to fire, fighting and ground, both 2 times. We have a large list of resistances, so let's bash through them quickly. Bug, Dark, Dragon, Ghost, Grass, Ice, Normal, Rock and Steel. Rock and Dark are both quadruple resistances, so you can work it out going backwards. Lucario takes very little damage from moves such as Stealth Rock. Now, base stat wise, got a bit of potential here. Base speed of 90 is the important stat, because in the overused tier that's actually not that impressive. However, it is just about on the level to be high enough to be usable as a fully fledged sweeper. We'll show, however, how base 90 speed can be overcome later. Its attack is base 110, that's very high. Its special attack at 115 is even higher, obviously, but that's a very impressive stat. Its defensive capacity is pretty poor, so we won't dwell on the 70s all around there. The first of 3 sets will come in a moment, but I want to quickly explain. You won't ever see Steadfast. Steadfast is an ability that increases your speed if you get flinched. You don't normally have time to benefit from that though, because frankly you'll die in 2 hits of pretty much anything, and paralysis tends to come alongside flinching, so be careful of that. Inner Focus and Justified you see pretty much on a 50-50 split, I would say. Inner Focus prevents flinching, which is quite good all round, but Justified increases your attack by 1 stage if you're hit by a Dark type move. You can see how that can be quite useful, especially for, let's roll into the first set, the in set, the set people use the most. Justified is very good for this set because obviously it's physical. Sword Stance is your boosting move of choice. Raises your attack by 2 stages each time, so use it once it doubles, use it twice triples, use it 3 times quadruples your attack stat. To go with it, your best stab move is Close Combat, base 120 power, 180 with same type attack bonus, 100% accurate, but it lowers your defense and special defense by 1 stage apiece each time you use it. However, it doesn't really matter because odds are you'll be KO'd in 1 hit anyway by anything with a reasonable attack that is neutral on you. What makes this set work, however, is that Lucario has access to priority moves. And in this case, Extreme Speed is the move to use. Base 80 power, so for a priority move that's pretty impressive. Normal type 100% accurate. Now you may be noticing already, I've not put this in a note, that Close Combat and Extreme Speed only have 8 PP as a maximum. You need to get the job done quickly with this Pokemon, so bear that in mind. Your cover move though is the interesting one, and I've put in the notes for you which options can do what to which. If you pick Crunch, you can hit Jellicent, Celebi and Slowbro. If you choose instead to go for Ice Punch, you'll hit Gliscor, Landorus, Dragonite and obviously all the other Dragon Flying types as well. The reason I have noted the Pokemon that I have there is because usually you will outspeed them. Not always, but usually. Obviously with Celebi, to outspeed it, you've got to hope it's not a max speed set. But quite often they aren't, so that's why it's in the list. And by picking Ice Punch, for example, you can't do anything to Jellicent or Slowbro, so you have to recognise when to switch out and stop your sweep. However, Ice Punch can hit Celebi as well, along with Crunch. So there's a bit of variety, a bit of versatility in that to a degree. However, like I said, no matter which move out the cover you pick there'll be 1 Pokemon that you struggle with. So, going to the EVs, max attack, max speed, that's not a surprise, doesn't really matter where the main 4 go. What might surprise you considering how much I love the Expert Belt is that this set has a Life Orb on it and it's the only item. Reason being you need all the power you can get, and when you're using Close Combat, your defense is going to get so pathetic that having an item that doesn't do you recoil damage is absolutely pointless, so don't use it. Like I said, Justified is there to get your attack hopefully up a stage before you even use a boosting move whatsoever, and Adamant is there to increase your attack as much as feasible. You can use a Jolly nature, but generally speaking the Adamant nature of this set is the more common one. However, because that set is so common, I can now show you the special alternative if you wanted to go off the special attack stat. Now the reason why you don't see special as often as physical on Lucario in the overused tier is because your priority move on the special spectrum is Vacuum Wave. And Vacuum Wave is fighting type, and a lot of the OU tier resists fighting type, a lot more than resist normal. And obviously ghost types are immune to both, so they by default can sort of switch into a priority move. However, Vacuum Wave is not quite as strong and not quite as versatile, which is why it is less common. However, with the form of Nasty Plot, you can raise your special attack at the same rate that Sword Stance can raise attack. So that's quite handy. The other handy thing about using the special set in particular is that you can utilise fighting and dark type coverage, which is very impressive indeed. It's not far off Bolt Beam for type coverage. Dark Pulse is your dark type move. You don't get same type attack bonus on it, but you do get the flinch chance, and you do get a 100% accurate move. Your last move is a slightly interesting, almost dilemma I would say. Aura Sphere will give you obviously no extra type coverage, however it's a base 90 move that never misses and you get same type attack bonus on it, meaning it goes up to 135. It's a very nice move. However, if you need type coverage, maybe your team needs the type coverage, Hidden Power Ice is there for all the dragons that you would normally be dealing with your physical set, and obviously Dark Pulse hits things like Celebi quite hard anyway. Hidden Power Ice is just there as well. Like I said in the second note, Lucario actually has a higher special attack than attack, and if you were to be quite poorly informed and just wander onto battle simulators, you would be amazed that Lucario has a higher special attack because it's very rarely used in comparison to its physical attack. It's a bit of a shame. I quite enjoy using this set a lot more. The ability is not justified, obviously, because raising your attack is pointless, so that is where Inner Focus plays its part. Nature-wise, you can choose Timid or Modest, really. It really depends on how hard you want to hit or whether you want to try and outspeed Pokemon that are in a similar ballpark of speed to you, of which there are a few Pokemon in the OU tier that are just below the 100 barrier. Most people would probably go for Modest though, because you do have a priority move. Again, Life Orb is your item of choice, and the EV investment is very similar to the first set, just throw the physical attack EVs onto the special attack. The IVs there for you are Hidden Power Ice, in the way that they don't lower your speed or special attack stat, which is the key. Now finally, we're going to go to a bit of a history lesson. Like I said, the first set that I've shown you is pretty much the only set you see. It's a bit of a shame because Lucario has a lot of potential. So we're going to go back in time here to the 4th generation. Back when I was on a whole lot of Pokemon forums, I'm still on a few now, but back in the day I had a mono steel team. And this was the Lucario I used. I thought I'd show you for sake of interest. In Generation 4 you could only use Carmine as your boosting move. Obviously in this day and age you would use Nasty Plot. Let's just accept that for what it is. Now the type coverage I used here is very interesting. It's why I wanted to point it out. Aura Sphere, like I said on set 2, is very impressive. Having a 135 power move, with the same type of attack bonus included, that never misses, is beautiful. And when you're making a mono steel team, you've got to think, what's steel inherently weak to? It's weak to fire, it's weak to ground, it's weak to fighting. Which two moves in combination can I get to hit all of those types at once? Now, what gave me an idea was that Lucario learns Water Pulse. Obviously being base 60, you would never use that. So instead we have Hidden Power Water. That obviously hits the fire and the ground types. And I had to think, well, what move does it learn to hit fighting types? And it learns Psychic. Very, very handy. Obviously Psychic being base power 90, lovely. Hidden Power Water being 70 is not so good, but it's better than Water Pulse at 60. So what we're going to do. Now I wanted to show you that the IVs to Hidden Power Water are quite awkward. The way to dodge lowering your speed again was to put the IVs there to drop a stat in attack, defense and special attack. Not ideal, I know. Timid Nature was what I chose to do because I didn't have a priority move. That's the key here. Had I have put Vacuum Wave on there, obviously I would probably have switched it to Modest. Inner Focus, the ability, you don't want to flinch, especially when you don't have priority, so there is potential for you to get flinched. And me being me, if you've watched any of the previous episodes, you know how much I love the Expert Belt. If I recall, I actually had a Life Orb on something else, so item rules dictated I had to put an Expert Belt on this Lucario. However, If you have any interesting sets for Pokemon like Lucario, it's a Pokemon where a lot of people try and invent sets. I know if you're into your double battles, it learns Follow Me. And even though its defenses are not particularly impressive, it does at least have a very good typing for being defensive. But hey, give me some feedback, talk to me about Lucario or any other Pokemon for that matter. Before I quickly go, here's this slide, read it, and I'll talk to you all next week.